Okay, so getting ready for Shavuot. What's the halachot for those that stay at night awake? When do they say Birkot HaShachar? When could you pray? The earliest time. So we find a machloket when to say Birkot HaShachar, and it's really a machloket that has to do with what the Shulchan Aruch writes. The Shulchan Aruch writes in Siman Mem Zayin Sif Yud Gimel, Hamashkim Kodem Or Hayom, a person that wakes up early, before dawn, מברך כל סדר הברכות, חוץ מברכת הנותן לשכבי בינה להבחין בין יום ולילה. That's what the Shulchan Aruch says, which means if you wake up 2 a.m., let's say, you have a flight, or you want to learn. You want to learn definitely, you have to say Birkat Torah, right? If a person goes to sleep in his bed after night, Tzeta Kochavim, you go to sleep in your bed, even a little bit. You went to sleep in your bed, and you wake up, you have to say Birkot Torah when you wake up. If you wake up half hour later, you want to go to shul, you want to learn, you just took a short nap, you have to say Birkot Torah. That's the way it is, and that's Nogea also for Shavuot, because some people want to take a nap before they go to shul to learn. Let's say the learning starts 11 o'clock, you finish meal by 10 o'clock, you have a whole hour, so you go to sleep a little bit. So as long as it's real sleep, it's not like on the table while you're sitting, you dozed a little bit, you slept. So then you say Birkot Torah. What about Birkot HaShachar? Birkot HaShachar is a machloket between the Mekubalim and what Chacham Ovadia wanted to say. Chacham Ovadia said the Birkot HaShachar also should be said in the morning, not at night. In the morning by Alot HaShachar. Alot HaShachar is the dawn. When is Alot HaShachar? Alot HaShachar, there's different timing when this morning starts. Alot HaShachar is when you see in the Mizrach, in the east, you see light already. It's lit already. That's called Ha'ir Kol Pnei HaMizrach. That's Alot HaShachar. That has one status. That's already halachically the day started. Many things we don't do until Netzach Hama. Netzach Hama is a sunrise, when the sun already appears. A little bit of the sun appears over the horizon. That's called Netzach Hama. That's when you pray Vatikin. But the day halachically started already by Alot HaShachar. Many things we delay it for afterwards so people don't get confused. So you push things for afterwards, like for instance, Kriyat HaShofar, Mikra Megillah. There's a whole list in the Mishnah in Megillah that you do in the day, you do them in Netzach Hama. Rashi says over there, the day started already by Alot HaShachar, by when the east already is lit. But you push it that in order that people will not get confused. Okay? So Chacham Ovadia says that Birkot HaShachar, just like Birkot Torah, you would say in the morning by Alot HaShachar. You can't continue learning in the morning after Alot HaShachar without Birkot Torah. Okay, so Birkot HaShachar this time of the year is around 4:30, a little bit later, around that time. Take a look at the calendar exactly what time it is. The Mekubalim say that you say the Birkot HaShachar already by midnight, by Chatzot. This is how the Arizal writes, and even if a person doesn't sleep at all, he says by Chatzot. Now it doesn't mean if you're going to sleep after midnight, let's say a person wants to sleep at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., he doesn't go to sleep, he doesn't fall asleep, or he keeps on learning until later at night. So don't say Birkot Torah then. Say the Birkot Torah afterwards, when you wake up, so you don't get confused. Don't say Birkot HaShachar then. Why not? You don't want to say Birkot HaShachar now, because when you wake up, you might forget that you said Birkot HaShachar, you'll say them again. So therefore, if you're planning to sleep, say them in the morning. But if you don't plan to sleep, if you're planning to stay awake like on Shavuot, the Arizal, this is also how the Kaf HaChaim says that the minhag of the Sfaradim, this is how the Or Letzion writes, the minhag of the Sfaradim is to say Birkot HaShachar already by Chatzot. By Chatzot, midnight. Now midnight, don't get me wrong, it's not 12 a.m. How do you calculate midnight? The way you calculate midnight is that you calculate the day and you divide the day into half. And once you do that, you add 12 hours from that time, and that's midnight. That's how you calculate that. That's nafkamina for Tikkun Chatzot, for this, for Birkot HaShachar. and some say to be machmir an extra 7 minutes. That's the way the Or Letzion brings down. Okay, so comes out like this. Birkot HaShachar, according to the Mekubalim, according to the Arizal, and this is what the Kaf HaChaim writes, it's in Minhag HaSfaradim, is already bechatzot, chatzot halayla. Birkot HaTorah, you wait for the day, for Alot HaShachar. Okay? Chacham Ovadia say you do everything in Alot HaShachar. Birkot HaShachar, Birkot HaTorah, everything in Alot HaShachar. But once it's Alot HaShachar, again, you can't continue learning before Birkot HaTorah. You must say Birkot HaTorah. That's the way it is. Now, by the way, once you get to close to Alot HaShachar, you can't go to sleep anymore. So if a person is very tired, half an hour before Alot HaShachar, he can't go to sleep. What about eating, drinking? People eat, drink all night on the evening of Shavuot and the night of Shavuot. But half an hour before Alot HaShachar, half an hour before dawn, you can't eat and drink anymore. Now, when I say drink, I don't mean drink coffee or water. Water and coffee would be permitted afterwards as well. Why? Because once the time of tefillah comes, you can't anymore eat, drink. What do I mean by drinking? Juice, milk, things that are filling. But water and coffee is also considered water. It's water with a little bit of color of the coffee. And the milk that you put in it is batel. This is how Chacham Ovadia writes. There's opinions about that as well. But most are mekel today to drink coffee with a little bit of milk. That's fine. Okay, so half an hour before, you can't have juice anymore, you can't have Coca-Cola, whatever you were drinking the whole night, you have to stop then. You can make yourself a coffee. You can't continue eating. You have fruits on the table. You're just eating. That's it. Half hour before Alot HaShachar, you can't continue eating. Okay? Now, how long is it in timing? Alot HaShachar before Netzach Hama. Alot HaShachar, you can see when Netzach Hama, again, you can check it on the calendar, you can check it on the app, and whenever Netzach Hama is, 72 minutes before then is Alot HaShachar. Now, what happens on Shavuot? Many people are very tired on Shavuot. You learn the whole night. You want to play. You want to go home already. You want to put your head to sleep. So should you pray on Vatikin, on Netzach Hama? That's the sunrise. So most of the poskim say that it's not needed. It's not needed. Although during the year, a person should pray Vatikin and not before, unless he's in a rush, he has a job beforehand, he has to wake up early for a flight, he has to wake up early for work, or whatever it is, then it's like minyan po'alim. You let them pray early. But when we're dealing on the regular time of the year, one should be makpid not to pray before Netzach Hama. When it comes to Shavuot, it's considered also Shatat Chak, and a person doesn't need to wait, the minyan doesn't need to wait until Netzach Hama. It's another 72 minutes, it's a long time. You can start already much before. When do you start? So, Be'etzem you could have started in Alot HaShachar, the prayer itself. The problem is that you can't say Shema before the time of Mishayakir. You can't put tzitzit, talit, before the time of Mishayakir. What does it mean Mishayakir? Mishayakir ben Tchelet leLavan. That's the time you could put the talit. What does it mean? It means that if you go outside, not in our days that you have light from the street lights and houses, but if you go in a place that doesn't have any street light, you go in the country, it's dark outside, there's no light at all, there's a little bit light that comes out now from the east. Can you tell the difference between light blue, tchelet, and lavan, and white? You take a talit that's white, and you can take a talit that has light blue in it. Can you tell the difference? If you can tell the difference, that is the time of Mishayakir, that is the time that you could start wearing your talit. That's an hour before Netzach Hama. An hour. If you take a look at the calendar, again, you'll see that it's more or less comes out to be an hour before Netzach Hama. So from then, you can start already. You put the talit with a bracha, and you can start already praying. That's the time you can start praying. Those that can't even wait with that, it's very, very hard for them. They can start praying in Alot HaShachar. Start already Psukei de Zimra, and when they get after Ishtabach, they can put, it's already the time of Mishayakir, it's that time already, they can put the talit. That is how it's brought down in the Or Letzion. Okay, some are machmir not to do an hour before Netzach Hama, rather to count Mishiakir, to put the talit 50 minutes before Netzach Hama. Same halacha according to many poskim would be applied also for tefillin. We don't put Shavuot tefillin, but during the year, if one is very much in a rush. That's the way he would do it, okay? Now, the tefillah itself, we said that the Mishnah Berurah brings down in the Pri Megadim that you could pray before Netzach Hama. That one doesn't need to wait that long. That makes things much easier. After you finish praying, you go home. You don't need to stretch it. You don't need to say mizmorim and go through things very, very slowly. No, the minhag is to go quickly. Let people, it's toch tzibur. Let people go home and have their nap. Okay, one of the things that we do on Shavuot is read Aseret Adibrot. Chacham Ovadia wrote much about Aseret Adibrot. He writes that one needs to be very careful in Aseret Adibrot not to stand for Aseret Adibrot. Many Ashkenazim have a minhag to stand once the Baal Koreh starts reading Aseret Adibrot. They all get up and they stand. Chacham Ovadia brings down a Gemara in Brachot, Yud Bet. Over there it says that ביטלו לומר קריאת עשרת הדיברות בציבור בכל יום מפני תרעומת המינים. Initially, they had in the morning, every day they would say עשרת הדיברות. Every morning. But they canceled that. Why is that? מפני תרעומת המינים. There would be minim. There would be those that are אפיקורסים. They would say what? Rashi explains. שלא יאמרו עמי הארץ, אין שאר התורה אמת. The rest of the Torah, they would say, the rest of the Torah is not true. It's not from Hashem. Only that. תדעו, the proof, שהרי אין קוראים אלא מה שאמר הקדוש ברוך הוא ושמעו מסיני. What do they read? Look at that. You go to shul, in the morning, the very first things they do is they read Aseret Adibot. They say Bukot HaShachar, they read Aseret Adibot. Why do they read Aseret Adibot? That was the only thing that was given from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Everything else was, all the rest of the Torah is not from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So that would be Taromet Haminim. The Gemara said they canceled it. No more Aseret Adibot. You can't read Aseret Adibot every morning. It doesn't work like that. So Chacham Ovadia says that the same thing would apply with this very idea. When a person starts standing, he gets up and he stands. When they read Aseret Adibot, that's Taromet Haminim. That people would say that this is the Torah. That's why people stand for it. Why they didn't stand for the rest of the Torah? The rest of the Torah, it was not given by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Chas v'Shalom. And therefore, for the same idea, some Sfarim say that whenever the Chazan sells the Aliyot, not the Chazan, the Gabbai sells the Aliyot. So the minhag is normally when you sell the aliyot, you say that this aliyah is so chashuv, and you start explaining why it's chashuv. There are many places like that. They don't just sell the aliyot. They also tell you how it is chashuv, the akedat Yitzchak of there, yeah. So that's very important to do so, okay, maybe. But when it comes to Aseret Adibrot, one should not do that. Why? Again, for the same idea. Because then you're saying to the klal, you're saying to them that this is chashuv, but the rest of the things are not chashuv. Now, if you say it about other things in the Torah, people will not be mistaken to think that other things are not chashuv, because they understand that everything has its own importance. But when we're dealing with Aseret Adibot, it appears to be something that's more important than any other things, and it is. The first two dibot we heard the dibot straight from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, not through a medium of Moshe Rabbeinu. It was straight from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So people would be mistaken to think, that is indeed the Torah that was given to Moshe Rabbeinu. Everything else is not chashuv. So in order to make sure that people don't, we have the same idea as a Gemara in Nidah that says that a person that says that this is important halakha, this is important sugya, sugya zu na'a, v'sugya zu ena na'a, me'abed hon arbe. If a person says, this is such a nice sugya, we're learning, I want to teach you a very, very nice sugya in the Gemara, very nice inyanim in the Gemara, in the Torah, and when you say that, it appears it comes out, it implies from it that other things are not nice. And therefore, when a person says that, the Gemara says, me'abed hon arbe, he loses hona shel Torah, he loses a lot of things in the Torah, because everything has its importance. Someone learned that it doesn't mean that you say that sugya zo na'ah, this is nice, and that's all, but rather you're saying also, you're adding to that, because the Gemara says this is nice and the rest is not nice. You say this is nice and this is not nice. When you actually verbalize to say like that, that is wrong. But if you just say this sugya na'ah, is not a problem. But according to the first explanation, we can also apply this over here. The one that says that this is an important aliyah, let's bid on it, let's be generous. When you say that, that implies that other parashiyot in the Torah are not as important, and even worse so, there is a meaning that maybe they were not given from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That would be that are Omet Aminim. Chag Shavuot Sameach.